Let's talk now about the ongoing row over transgender rights in Scotland. Yeah, even after Nicola Sturgeon announced her resignation, and no doubt at all the battles over whether or not rapists were men, women, or just individuals who rape, whatever third gender she managed to come up with, whether or not they should be put into women's prisons, certainly was the heart of her downfall. Well, the issue won't go away, not least because one of the candidates vying to be her successor as First Minister and leader of the SNP, Kate Forbes, is a devout Christian who is not only opposed to trans rights, but also opposed to some gay rights regarding gay sex, for instance, as a sin. But we've also got the case of Daniel Eastwood. Let's be very clear, he is a transgender killer. He's been locked up in a women's jail in Dumfries Young Offenders Institution for dangerous driving at age 18. It was a month away from the end of his sentence when he strangled his cellmate to death with shoelaces in 2004, and therefore he was sent to a prison for that crime. Well, he's now 38 years old. He now identifies as being Sophie, a woman, a trans woman. He began transitioning while in prison in 2017. He's now being held at HM Prison Corton Vale, Scotland's only all-female jail. Interestingly, Daniel Eastwood, now calling himself Sophie, insists that not only is he a trans woman, but that he's also a baby, demanding that prison guards hold his hand and requesting nappies. Stop the sniggering at the back, please. Let's talk to Kate Coleman. She's director of Keep Prisons Single Sex and joins us now. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining us. I mean, this is just another case that's bizarre. The funny thing is, you hear a lot of people go, oh, God, this is mad. This is a man, an adult man, pretending he's a baby. But an adult man pretending he's a baby is no more silly than an adult man claiming to be a woman, is it?
Well, exactly. I mean, there seems to be certain things that you are allowed to pretend that you are, and that identity is then given political status, legal status. Everybody must believe in it. And then there are things which you're not allowed to believe in. And, people quite rightly ridicule that. I mean, race is another issue. I'm sure we all remember Rachel Dolezal in America, who claimed to be African-American and was 100% Caucasian. And she was quite rightly hauled over the coals for that. But yes, I mean, here we go again. I mean, we've known about Daniel for some time now. This isn't a new transfer to the female prison estate. He's been held in women's prisons for around 5 years now. And as you quite rightly said, I mean, he murdered his cellmate when he was 19 years old. He also violently assaulted a male officer. He harassed and stalked a female officer to the extent that she had to leave the force. And he's also had public sex with her girlfriend, but his boyfriend, fellow murderer, Alex Stewart, in the female estate. So, this is yet another example of what women in prison are facing.
Well, indeed, and we know that women in prison, again, people say, well, you're behind bars, stuff. Well, actually, most women in prison, we know, are in prison for non-violent crimes, and a huge majority of them are likely to have experienced violence or sexual abuse from either family members as children or from partners. This is a very, very, very common theme in why they've been involved in criminality. But again, we come back to this when Nicola Sturgeon was told, there shouldn't be this amendment in this bill, this gender recognition bill, allowing 16-year-olds to just rock up and a few weeks after putting down a petition in, being allowed to change their official legal gender or even on their birth certificates without any medical intervention or anything at all. When it was raised, look, but what about sex offenders or any other violent offenders behind bars? No, this issue wouldn't arise. Well, this is the third one we know of. For something that never happened.
We've got.
Oh, there are loads more.
We know that there are 5.
And that's just in this country. I mean, it's happened in America. But for something that never happens, it seems to happen an awful lot.
It does happen an awful lot. And I think what's also key is that these 5 offenders, 4 are convicted of murder of men. One sexually tortured his victim before killing him. And one is a paedophile and a registered sex offender. But under the reviewed the changes that were brought in as the result of Adam Graham, Isla Bryson, the individual. We're not allowed to call him a man. He said, according to Nicola Sturgeon, he's an individual. Yeah. These 5 are still risk assessed as being safe to be in women's prisons. Yeah. So there's a Justice Committee meeting tomorrow where the Justice Secretary, Keith Brown, and Theresa Medhurst, the CEO of the Scottish Prison Service, are going to be called to give evidence before the committee. So I think those questions are going to be very interesting.
This story ain't going away anytime soon. You know why? Because the public have woken up to the madness that is going on in our elites, who are just totally out of touch with, let's face it, not even public opinion, but reality.